Hello and welcome to your practice. Our theme today is gather, and this is a practice for those days where we feel a bit scattered. Maybe we feel like we're being pulled in lots of different directions, or the mind is very busy and wandering a lot. It can really help to do practices that draw our attention inwards and just help to focus our awareness on our center. So today's practice, we'll be focusing on the center of the body, paying attention to the spine, the core, and the breath, really gathering that attention and awareness inwards in our practice. You don't need any props for this. If you have a hard floor, you might like to have a blanket for a little bit of cushioning, but otherwise just you and your mat. So we'll start coming to lie down. Maybe closing the eyes here, taking a couple of deeper breaths as you arrive and settle onto your mat. Bending the knees and placing the feet onto the mat. You could take your hands just to either side of the lower ribs and begin to feel the breath here. Feeling the body expand on the inhale and contract on the exhale. Noticing the movement of the breath, not only forwards but out to the sides and into the back of the body. No force or effort needed, just the natural movement of the breath that we're tuning into here. Maintaining that awareness of the breath, bringing your arms down by your sides, and do a little bit of spinal undulation here. On your inhale, arching the lower back as you press the tailbone down, letting the chin move towards the chest. And on your exhale, lengthen your lower back. You don't need to press it into the ground, just finding length there as you let the chin move away from the chest. So doing a few of these spinal movements here. Just noticing how that feels for the body. And then finding a point where you feel the lower back is long. It's not pressing into the ground, but there's length there. And maintaining that length in the lower back, lift your feet up, bringing your knees up over your hips. And as you bring the knees up over the hips, bring your hands onto your thighs. So you're pressing the palms of your hands to your thighs. And then pressing your thighs and your hands into each other. Building it up slowly, creating a bit of resistance there. And notice what you can feel in the center of the body as you press your legs into your hands and your hands into your legs. Can you maintain the flow of breath as you hold the effort in the body? And then relaxing, releasing, feet can come back down. Maybe walk the feet out and let the knees rest together. And you might like to rest your hands on your belly again and just feel the movement of the breath in and out. Just noticing the softening in the body. And then we'll go again. So lifting the feet up, knees up over the hips, hands to your thighs, and begin to press hands into thighs and legs back into hands. So you're creating a bit of resistance here. Again, feeling what happens without you having to switch anything on, just noticing what happens in the center of the body. Still, breath flows smooth and steady. And then releasing, feet down. Once again, walk the feet out, knees resting together. Maybe hands resting on the belly. And bringing the knees up again over the hips. This time, reaching your arms up, straight up towards the ceiling, palms facing in. And checking in with the lower back here. So keeping the lower back long, it's not arching away from the mat. And work a little bit of cross body movement here. So extending your left leg out as you reach your right arm back. And they don't need to come down very low, just reaching them out and away from the body, keeping the lower back long. And then coming back into center and switching sides. Right leg goes out, left arm goes back. Again, maintaining that length in the lower back. Keep going side to side, really slow and controlled. And if you're finding the back is arching, just keep the arm and the leg up a little bit higher and see how that goes. And notice that even though this is a movement of the limbs, can you feel the control of this movement coming from your center? Last one each side. And then back to center, knees into your chest. Whew, well done. Maybe rocking a little bit side to side, just massaging out the lower back. And then coming back to center, and you might roll to one side to come up, or you could take your hands behind your thighs and roll your feet over your head and roll all the way up. And once you come up, we'll come to an all fours position. So finding your way around into hands and knees, coming to a tabletop. Hands about under the shoulders, knees about under the hips. We'll move through a little bit of cat-cow here. So as you inhale, lifting your chest and your tailbone, dropping your belly and ribs down towards the mat. And as you exhale, press the floor away, rounding your spine, curling your chin in towards your chest. And keep going with this movement. And as you do, can you really notice how it feels for the spine and for the breath? And then coming back into center, finding that tabletop position. Just like we did lying on the back, can you just feel the neutral spine here so the lower back isn't going into an arch? And maintaining that as you step your left foot back, toes curled under, and reach your right fingertips forward, right fingertips to the mat. And really hug the outer right hip in and hug the left shoulder in. So really gathering that awareness into the center. And you can keep foot and hand on the mat or lift your left foot and lift your right hand. So really drawing everything into the midline here to maintain that balance. Maybe circling out the ankle and the wrist, slow circles. Still breathing steadily. And then circle the other way. And then coming back to center, bring your right hand down and your left knee down. Just take a moment to reset here. And we'll switch sides. So right foot steps back, left fingertips forward. Again, hug right shoulder, left hip into the midline. And you can keep contact with the mat or lift the right foot up, maybe left hand up. Keeping the spine long as you circle your ankle and your wrist. Slow, steady breaths, slow, controlled movements. And then change direction. And then back to center, left hand down, right knee down, just coming back into your tabletop. And then really spreading out your hands here, gripping your mat, curl your toes under, move your bum back towards your heels and lift up to downward facing dog. So feel free to keep a bend in the knees in your downward dog. Really feeling that space and length down the back. You might want to pedal out your heels a bit here. And then from downward dog, moving forwards to a plank, shifting your chest forwards over your hands, finding that long shape with the body. Knees can be up or down.
And can you keep the lower back long, the upper back broad? And feel the breath, just like we did lying on the mat, feeling the breath all the way around. And then without moving your feet, can you press back up into downward dog? You might bend the knees here. Just noticing how this downward dog feels. Still aware of the flow of the breath. And then start to walk your feet towards your hands, walking yourself into a standing forward bend. Soft bend in the knees, feet firmly planted. Slide your hands to your shins and find a half lift. So in this half lift, you're drawing your heart forward, shoulders back, lengthening the spine. Take a breath here. And then taking your hands to your hips, hinging from the hips, come all the way up to stand upright, finding your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Really feeling that connection through the feet into the ground. Sensing that line all the way up the center of the body, so feeling the pelvis, the ribs stacked over pelvis, shoulders over ribs, head over shoulders. And then turning to face the long edge of your mat, step your feet out wide, so finding a nice wide stance here. And turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. So setting up here for a warrior two. Bend your right knee until your right knee is about over your right ankle. And then take your arms out at shoulder level. Torso turns towards the long edge of the mat. And notice if your torso starts to follow the right knee, can you really draw your torso, your spine into center? So pelvis, ribs, shoulders are stacked. Spine is long and strong. And take some breaths here. Maybe looking over the right middle finger. Slow, steady breaths, just feeling the movement of the breath through the center of the body. And then lowering the arms down as you straighten your right leg, lifting your right toes and turn them towards the long edge of the mat. And then switch, so left toes towards the short edge of the mat. Same as before, bending your left knee this time, finding your warrior two stance. Arms come out to shoulder level. Torso towards the long edge of the mat and centered. Sensing the position of the spine, the flow of the breath through the center of the body. Maybe taking the gaze over your left middle finger. Breathing in, breathing out, slow and steady. And then lowering the arms down as you straighten the left leg. Lift the left toes and turn feet towards the long edge of the mat. And here we'll turn the heels in and the toes out. So still a nice wide stance. And we'll set up for goddess pose. So in goddess pose, bend your knees in the direction of your toes and really sink the hips down as though you're about to sit down into a chair. Again, we don't want to arch the lower back here, so keeping the tailbone drawing down and lengthening the lower spine. You take the hands into heart center. And then from here, sweeping the arms out, turn the palms up. And as you inhale and straighten the legs, reach the arms up overhead, bring the palms together. And as you exhale, sit back down into your goddess pose. So do a couple more of those. Really as though you're gathering up the energy in the air around your body and then drawing it down through the center of your body. Going at your own pace with your own breath. And the next time you sit down into your goddess pose, just pausing at the bottom, breathing here. And hands at your heart, straightening your legs. heel toe your feet in to about hip width distance apart. Turning to face the top of your mat. To make our way down towards the mat. On your next in-breath, sweep your arms up overhead. And on the out-breath, fold forwards. Feel free to bend the knees. Slide hands up, shins, to come to your half lift. And then folding forwards, take your hands to your mat and walk back into downward facing dog. Taking a full breath here. And then lowering the knees down onto the mat. And walk the hands back, sitting back onto the feet and swing the legs round in front of you. So coming to sit onto your mat. And as you sit on the mat, bend the knees and bring yourself right up onto your sitting bones. So notice how it feels to roll back on the tailbone and then actively draw yourself up tall right on the sitting bones. We'll stay right up here on the sitting bones as you walk the feet back, come up onto the tippy toes, and maybe lift the toes up, holding behind the knees. You might bring the shins parallel with the ground. Keep drawing up through the spine, balancing on the sit bones. And you can keep holding behind the knees, or you could reach your arms out either side of your legs, palms facing in. And really draw everything into center, gathering that energy inwards, holding and breathing here. And then bring the feet back down. Well done. Crossing your ankles. You can take your fingertips down either side of you. Just press into the ground as you maybe lift the bum up. And release it back down. We'll do one more Navasana or boat pose. So same again, sitting tall. Hands in behind the knees. Shoulders back. And you can come onto the toes or maybe lift the feet. Maybe lift the shins up parallel with the ground. You can keep a light hold behind the knees or extend the arms out. And drawing everything into the center and breathe. Focusing on that slow, steady breath. And then releasing your feet down. Well done. So extending your legs out here and sitting really tall. And bend your left knee, bringing the sole of your left foot onto your mat. Then take your left fingertips behind you and wrap your right arm around your left knee. And on your inhale, draw up tall. And on your exhale, twist to the left. Really feel that twist coming right from the center of the body. And notice how the breath feels as you twist. And then slowly untwist back to center, releasing the left leg and bending the right knee, bringing the sole of the right foot onto the mat. Once again, sitting tall here, right fingertips behind you. Wrap the left arm around the right knee. And as you inhale, grow tall and exhale, twist. Slow, steady breaths. And slowly untwist back to center, releasing your right leg. So just finding a comfortable seated position now. You might sit cross-legged or any other seated position that works for you. If you do have a blanket or cushion, feel free to sit up on that. Resting the hands on the knees, maybe closing the eyes. And just for a moment, feel the pelvis, the sitting bones. Feel the spine. And notice the movement of your breath. Sensing where the breath is in the body. following the flow of the breath through the center of the body. This breath that flows automatically through the center of the body, nourishing every cell. Just noticing the pace and rhythm of that breath. And then drawing the hands into heart center, palms touching. Letting the thumbs rest right into the center of the chest. Connecting for a moment to the heart space. And taking a full breath in and a long breath out. Thank you for your practice. Thanks so much for joining me. Well done. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care.